Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy and that you find as much joy in our service today as I do. I look forward to this time together where we can connect for a time of reflection. I know we're apart physically, but we have certainly proven that we are not alone. Let today be the start of something new. We know you come here from different reasons: to find community, to seek your spiritual and personal truth, to question, to be nurtured, your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of your bigger questions. Welcome this morning to the Unitarian Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where it is our mission to grow together in love, faith, justice, and joy. My name is Xiomara Rodriguez, and I'm honored to serve as your worship associate this morning. We ask everyone to stay at home and view us or hear us on your personal devices. Know that we still welcome all to be part of us, regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender ID. We are dedicated to the proposition that beneath all of our difference, behind all of our diversity, there is unity that makes us one and binds us forever together. If you are someone who is viewing this and it's your first exposure to us, feel free to contact our office or go to our website for more information, and there you could fill out the newcomer form. You can sign for our newsletter that will keep you informed of all the activities here at UUFNN. You may notice that on top, there is top of your screen, there is a speaker gallery view. You could toggle back and forth for however you want to view the service. Also, you could go to the upper right corner of your picture and find 3 dots and look for rename and change the name of your picture. We love to know who's out there so we can say hi. You will remain muted throughout the service. You can make comments on the chat box anytime, but especially during joys and concerns. You will be invited to join us for coffee time immediately after service. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
This morning, we celebrate the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. We celebrate King's life today, just over a week after a violent siege of the US Capitol, an insurrection perpetrated by white supremacists attempting to hold on to power to which they have felt entitled. The systems of oppression that King gave voice to are in stark display today, as we see the drastic difference in response between the violent insurrection and the peaceful protests for equity for Black lives. Today, though, we'll invite King to help us focus the lens of hypocrisy a bit closer to home, to the white moderate, and especially those liberal churches of which he admitted his disappointment. As King wrote in his famous letter from the Birmingham jail, "Perhaps I have once again been too optimistic. Is organized religion too inextricably bound to the status quo to save our nation and the world?" King shared, "In deep disappointment, I have wept over the laxity of the church, but be assured that my tears have been tears of love. There can be no deep disappointment where there is not deep love. Please join me with a candle from your own home as we light our chalice this morning. We will let King's words kindle our flame. I have decided to stick with love, for I know that love is ultimately the only answer to humankind's problems. And I'm not talking about emotional bosh when I talk about love. I'm talking about a strong, demanding love, for I have seen too much hate. And I say to myself that hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to love. If you are seeking the highest good, I think you can find it through love. May this chalice harness the courage it takes to stand in that strong, demanding love. The roots of Unitarian Universalism compel us towards the deep love King professed. Universalism was literally a break from traditional religious thinking that God would damn some souls to hell. Instead, Universalists believed that a loving God would save all souls. Our religious roots are grounded in a belief in a love so universal in scope that all are worthy of that love. In order to stick with love, as King suggests, when we are in the midst of the challenges of racism in our country, it is important to know what it feels like. Though love is a natural emotion, this deep, courageous love is a practice, especially as we try to access that love as we recognize and respond to racism. I invite you to settle in wherever you are, to be present, feeling your body grounded and solid. You might consider placing a hand on your heart. And then think of something that brings you feelings of love. Let those feelings wash over you, paying attention to how they feel. As we listen to this song, practice paying attention to the sensation of sticking with love so that we can access those feelings in our body as we work to dismantle racism.
There is love holding me. There is love holding all that I love. There is love holding all. I rest in this love. There is love holding us. There is love holding all that we love. There is love holding all. We rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
This is a time in our service when we have the opportunity to share our bounties with each other. Since we're not physically together to pass the basket, we can do so virtually by texting 73256, putting UUFNN in the message box and hitting send. Then follow the instructions to provide your offering. You could also mail a check to the office at 780 Del Monte Lane, Reno, Nevada 89511. But the slickest and cleanest way to donate is to sign up for automatic giving. Contact the office and Carol will send you an automatic draft authorization form or pull it from our website. Share the Plate this month is the Bird Eye Posse. Jane Dunn is here to tell us more about it. Jane?
Yes, good morning. My name is Jane, and I help organize the Bird Eye Posse, a community organization that has existed for 5 years. We're here this month for the third time as the Share the Plate recipient. With the funds we collect, we buy groceries and paper goods to provide 100 bags of dinner each Wednesday evening. They are lovingly served to our guests currently living along the south side of the Truckee River near the city dump. We also depend on donors of individually wrapped snacks and juice bags that go into each dinner, whose basic elements are a 10-ounce serving of homemade spaghetti, a steamed carrot, a hard-cooked egg, a homemade dessert, a bread and butter sandwich, a note of encouragement, and a salt and a pepper, and a fork wrapped in a napkin. I had one of those frequent conversations with a new volunteer last week who said, "It feels so good to do this work." Well, truth is, this work is an exercise in gratitude for all that we have and for all that we can share. It takes loving and generous time, talent, and treasure to make this happen each week. In fact, this Zoom room today is quite full of donors of one, two, or all of these types of generosity, as we have seen over the past 5 years. As I was creating this reflection, I saw faces, not roles, faces of our many beloved volunteers, cooks, bakers, circuit riders, baggers, servers, and more. Faces of our guests, faces of gratitude made real in this work of providing the simplest of things, a home-cooked meal, to the growing number of hungry neighbors living without homes during this awful time. This is an invitation to share your generosity with your time. We have all kinds of openings, including a new group called Spudniks, who've added a serving of mashed potatoes to our dinner bags. Email us at posse@uufn.org if you want to help or have any questions. This is an invitation to share your generosity with your talent. Your only limitation is your imagination. How do you think this got started in the first place? This is an invitation to share your generosity with your treasure by being generous with your Share the Plate donations and by giving donations from the list that appears weekly in the email announcement that comes right to your inbox. Thanks to all for helping to feed our hungry neighbors. And now let the offering begin.
Please join me now on dedicating our offerings to the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
It is 1965, and we are at the offices of the newly founded Unitarian Universalist Association. A white man is seated at a desk, reading a telegram that he has just received. This man is Homer Jack. He is the director of the Department of Social Responsibility and has only been in this position for about a year. The telegram he has received is from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Homer can feel his heart race as he reads it. It says, "In the vicious maltreatment of defenseless citizens of Selma, where old women and young children were gassed and clubbed at random, we have witnessed an eruption of the disease of racism, which seeks to destroy all of America. No American is without responsibility. All are involved in the sorrow that rises from Selma to contaminate every crevice of our national life. The people of Selma will struggle on for the soul of the nation, but it is fitting that all America help to bear the burden. I call, therefore, on clergy of all faiths, representative of every part of the country, to join me for a minister's march to Montgomery on Tuesday morning, March 9th. In this way, all America will testify to the fact that the struggle in Selma is for the survival of democracy everywhere in our land." Homer had heard about the racially motivated murder of 26-year-old Jimmy Lee Jackson, and had just the night before watched the events of Bloody Sunday unfold on national television. Hundreds of people in Selma, Alabama had tried to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge in protest of the violence against people of color and had been brutally attacked. Although Homer understood that racism was prevalent in the South, he was stunned at what had occurred. And so as Homer read the telegram, he felt his heart pounding, and he recognized in King's call his own obligation to bear the burden of working for justice. And so Homer jumped into action. He was determined to support Unitarian Universalists in answering the call. As he called colleagues, he found that other Unitarian Universalist ministers around the country had also received the telegram, and they too were feeling their hearts pulled to join the struggle. Hundreds of Unitarian Universalist clergy around the country felt motivated by King's call to action. Many went home and had difficult conversations with loved ones as they made decisions to travel to Alabama. After seeing people beaten on the bridge in Selma, they now recognized that this could be a dangerous journey. And yet they felt compelled to heed King's call despite the risk. Many received the telegram in the morning and were on their way to Selma that very evening. UU lay leaders like Viola Liuzzo from the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Detroit, Michigan, heard about King's call. Viola, at the age of 39, had been organizing marches for racial justice in Detroit and knew that she needed to be in Selma to support in any way she could. Unitarian Universalist ministers and lay leaders and the entire board of trustees from the Unitarian Universalist Association poured into Alabama, spurred by King's call to hold part of the burden of racism. Once in Selma, volunteers like Viola, who had rushed to Selma to be of service, helped shuttle all of the out-of-towners from the airport to the protest locations around town. And on Tuesday, just as King had requested, they marched. Ultimately, they were turned back at the bridge by law enforcement again, but this time without violence. Unitarian Universalists felt the love and courage of solidarity, and they were committed to the cause of racial justice. That evening, white Unitarian Universalist minister James Reeb, who had come down from Boston after receiving King's call, was getting dinner with two of his UU colleagues when the three were brutally attacked, and Reeb died soon after from his wounds. Days later, Viola Liuzzo was also killed as she was shuttling other out-of-town volunteers to and from Montgomery. We can imagine UUs gathering with local Black leaders and with hundreds of people from across the country at Brown Chapel, just down the road from the bridge, gathering to pray, to ask for guidance and courage, to mourn the loss of two of their white colleagues, and to mourn the centuries of violence and losses of people of color. We can imagine them singing music together, summoning their courage for the marches to come. One of those songs likely would have been Precious Lord, Martin Luther King Jr.'s favorite song.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night draws near and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Unitarian Universalists responded to Reverend King's call to Selma with urgency. It seemed that their conscience was kindled and their hearts burst open, ready to do what they could to lend support to the cause for justice. But UU leaders like Mark Morrison Reed noticed something different. As he says, noble aspirations and heroic deeds cannot undo systematically embedded patterns. He says, after Selma, UUs preached more sermons about human rights, sang more freedom songs on Sunday mornings, and devoted more Sunday school classes to the situation of African Americans, but they sang the songs and preached the messages, by and large, in lily white settings in the suburbs. It would be relatively easy to dismiss Reed's comment if we didn't know our UU history with racism. So I want to continue our story. We re-enter the story a few years after Bloody Sunday and immediately following King's assassination. In the wake of riots after King's death, Homer Jack, remember him, convened an emergency meeting of Unitarian Universalist leaders in New York City to discuss the issue of racism in the country and in Unitarian Universalism. Of over 150 participants at that meeting, only 37 attending were Black. The Black members recognized the inequities already inherent at this meeting and decided that they would caucus on their own. They emerged from their caucus with a list of non-negotiable demands for Unitarian Universalists to practice their values and support Black Unitarian Universalism. The events that followed are complicated, but the years following this emergency meeting resulted in a series of botched responses to the Black caucus requests. White UUs argued over process and made commitments that they couldn't meet. This call to racial justice within Unitarian Universalism was very different from the one that King had made, of course, but it was a call nonetheless. And the response was not the same love-filled courage and commitment that we had seen in Selma. Why did we react differently to this call from our Black UU siblings? Where was that courageous love at that time? Did our bureaucracy stifle us from jumping into action the way we did when King made his call? By the end of this time period in our history, in the early 1970s, it is estimated that over 1,000 Black Unitarian Universalists left our denomination. In 1993, at the annual General Assembly, white conference organizers were excited to celebrate the 250th birthday of Thomas Jefferson, one of Unitarian Universalism's most famous members. Organizers decided that they would host a formal ball in Jefferson's name, and that all UUs attending the General Assembly that year would be invited to come in period costume. During the general plenary, with thousands of Unitarian Universalists in attendance, most white UUs were completely caught off guard when, on behalf of the African American UU ministers, Hope Johnson came forward to speak about the planned Thomas Jefferson Ball. She asked forcefully, "Why are we celebrating an unrepentant slaveholder?" Johnson asked, "If UUs are to wear period costume for the ball, must African Americans attend such events in rags and chains?" This time the call, again from within Unitarian Universalism, lifted up the whiteness through which our religion operated. Though hundreds spent that General Assembly protesting racist structures within Unitarian Universalism, others attended the ball just as planned. What might a more courageous love response have looked like at that time? Just 3 years ago, another controversy erupted in UUism when a woman of color brought to attention racist hiring practices within the Unitarian Universalist Association. This controversy resulted in the resignation of the president of the UUA. And yet, I'm still not sure we've seen the level of courageous love we saw in Selma in response to the realization of racist practices within the Unitarian Universalist Association. What is the difference from these calls for racial justice and the one put out by Martin Luther King Jr. in 1965? What strikes me is that these calls are not a call to action outside of our walls. They are a call in, a demand that we see the racism embedded in our UU structures, and a call in to community and into right relationship with each other. There have been so many opportunities for us to hear the calls within Unitarian Universalism. There were calls from Black UU leaders in the 1800s who invited their white colleagues to take a stand against slavery. And our white Unitarian ancestors failed to agree to support abolition and ultimately drove Black Unitarians away. There was a call from William Jackson, a Black preacher who in the 1800s had decided to convert to Unitarianism and establish a church. But the American Unitarian Association basically ignored him. They didn't respond with encouragement to his conversion or to his desire to start a congregation. And ultimately, he didn't convert. There were calls from Black leaders who were paid less, and calls from Black ministers who were discouraged from ministry. And these are just some of the big examples. As you can imagine, there are many others. Each were calls from our Black Unitarian Universalist leaders to do better, calls to be the congregation that models its values. The story continues today. While we respond to outside calls, such as supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, we continue to pay less attention to calls telling us about microaggressions in our congregations, about systems and patterns of racism within our walls. What distinguished the call from Martin Luther King in March 1965, imploring religious leaders to show up for racial justice, and the continuous requests from our UUs of color to do the same? I don't know the answer. Racism is so deeply embedded in our systems and structures in this country. And I wish Unitarian Universalism was different. I wish that we always lived into our values and modeled our principles in all the ways that we strive to, but we don't. We try really hard, especially when we're called to racial justice outside of our congregations, but we still perpetuate oppressive patterns within our Unitarian Universalist structures. What I hope for us is that we begin to grow new methods for listening so that we can hear every call from those we love, so that all people who find our congregations feel welcome and cared for and whole. Remember that meditation we did in the beginning? And King's call to the love that can hold our disappointment? Unitarian Universalism calls us into a big love, a belief that we are each sacred, each worthy, that we all hold inherent dignity. I suggest that we each settle into that deep universalist love and that we commit to listening from that place. And when Black Unitarian Universalist siblings call us in with hard truths, that we respond with the same commitment and courage that we showed up with in Selma. May it be so.
I'm going to ask you to, in your hearts, keep the spirit of peace and finding peaceful solutions alive. I'm going to share this song with you and you can sing along. The words say, in the shelter of each other. And you can just sing back to me what I sing to you, like this. In the shelter of each other. In the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. Ah, yeah. Sing that with me again. It's easy. In the shelter each other in the shelter of our lives. We are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. Nice. You know that many times the pain of the world crashes in. We feel angry and afraid. We start to lose our sense of hope, our sense of direction. The isolation we have learned will not bring much in return if we truly cannot learn to live as one. Right in the shelter of each other, in the shelter, say it with me, of our lives. Oh, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. Oh, I hear you now. You know that many times the pain of the world crashes in. We feel broken and betrayed. We start to lose our sense of joy, our sense of connection. And though our history remains, well, it's our actions we must change. If we hope to heal our planet, you know that we must stand right in the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives. Yeah, we are open, yes, and we are dreaming, we are hopeful, yeah, we are wise. Another verse, another chorus, sing with me. Right in the shelter of each other, yeah. Right in the shelter of our lives, yeah, we are open, yes, and we are dreaming, we are hopeful, yeah, yeah, we are wise, we are wise, we are wise.
Let us take a deep breath and ground ourselves in the love we hold for all those here and all those who have never felt comfortable in our community. As we share this time of love and care together, I invite you to add your joys, fears, sadnesses, and gratitudes into the chat box so that we may hold them together. We hold all these joys and sorrows together in this community. May we each hold gratitude for the journey of becoming more open, of listening better, of trusting more. We share together our disappointment that racism has been allowed to persist in so many ways, and our lament that undoing these systems will be the work of generations. May we be better able to hear the call of our siblings of color towards racial justice. And may we receive those calls with courage and commitment. Amen and blessed be.
There is love holding me. There is love holding all that I love. There is love holding all. I rest in this love. There is love holding us. There is love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
I'm so glad that you all joined us for our service today. And I'm so appreciative of all of those who helped make this service happen. If you need any help with Zoom or any support in general, or if you know of anyone who needs support this week especially, please reach out to me or to members of our pastoral care team. If you would like to receive our emails, please fill out the online card that is shared. The link is shared in our chat now. And we hope that you'll share the link to this service with anyone who might be feeling isolated and need connection. There are many upcoming programs that you can find descriptions of in our e-announce. I want to especially lift up the Martin Luther King Caravan that's happening tomorrow, January 18th. We'll gather in the UUFNN parking lot at 10:45, and the caravan will begin at 11 o'clock. And this is a long running caravan to celebrate the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So we really hope that you will join us. I also want to invite you to be watching your e-announce for programs as part of the 30 Days of Love campaign. This campaign starts today and goes through February 14th. Last year, the Unitarian Universalist Association released a report called Widening the Circle of Concern. It was written by a commissioned group of folks who were tasked with researching, reporting, and making recommendations for transforming white supremacy and other oppressions in the institutional history and practices of the Unitarian Universalist Association and its congregations, of which we are all a part. It's perfect timing for us, and there will be 30 days of programs to help us dismantle white supremacy within Unitarian Universalism. And lastly, I want to call your attention to 2 free programs that we will be sharing information about in the e-announce. And I really hope that you all will consider participating in these. They are being offered by the Living Legacy Project, and both are going to use stories and music from the civil rights movement to examine our racial justice work today. One will bring in veterans of the civil rights movement in the South to reflect on racism in this country, and the other will bring together a variety of musicians to explore racial justice through music. So watch your e-announce for more information about those offerings. And lastly, you are warmly welcomed to stay on for our coffee hour, which will happen about 3 minutes after our service ends, just right after the postlude today. And you're invited to stay on for small group conversations.
We will not rest till the storm is over. We will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. We will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. It's been a long, hard journey on a winding road. So many have gone before us. They carried a heavy load, but they went there singing as they made their way. Now in their footsteps we follow as we work today. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. Hey, we will not lay this burden down. Oh, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. I know that you're weary. We all feel the pain. Sometimes the actions of the world will try your soul again, but I believe there's a better day, and it's coming our way. That's why we're raising our voices as we work today. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. All around us there's hatred. All around us there's fear. Violence touches our lives, and the message is clear. We mourn our martyrs. In our hearts they'll stay. Then we'll sing, we shall overcome, and go on our way. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. Yeah, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. Hey, we will not lay this burden down. Oh, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. Till we stand all together on solid ground. Till we stand all together on solid ground. Let's keep singing together. Let's keep working hard to keep justice and peace in our hearts. And stay strong, stay safe. Thank you.
Will you connect with one another as a symbol of our commitment to each other? We will keep each other strong with love and commitment until all of us are able to stand on solid ground. May we be loving and open, ready to hear our next call to racial justice and to respond courageously within our Unitarian Universalist congregations and beyond. May it be so.